Hey guys, Ron here, and I got a super hot take. Paradox forms are pretty neat. While people would have preferred more imaginative future paradox forms, the concept of Pokemon from the distant future and past are beloved, so why not make more? It's a nice opportunity to bring some relevance to a few lesser used Pokemon and stretch our brain muscle to come up with fantastical ways to make speculative Pokemon. What's even cooler is that I actually stream myself creating videos on YouTube pretty much every Monday and or Tuesday at around noon Eastern time, so all my lovely viewers actually helped me make the paradox forms you'll see before you today. I mean, pretty much all of their names were decided by viewers like you. Yes, you, Jonathan, and Emily. I mean, some of you have to have those names. So how about you leave a like and subscribe and potentially click the notification bell to know when the next stream is live. The first paradox form I decided to make was an ancient Dodrio. So many viewers wanted me to make it a Hydra bird, a Dodrio with anywhere from like 3 to 9 heads. But that's like the opposite of the concept I have in mind. Gen 1 is all about genetics. A lot of Pokemon look like mutated animals in Kanto. My idea is that the Dodrio line gained multiple heads as a result of human intervention. This is a mutated bird, so an ancient Dodrio would look more natural. Just one big scary head. It'll be even more formidable because it's stronger than Dodrio, even though it has one head. I'm gonna base it on the Corythoraptor and the modern day cassowary. It'll have a giant crest that it uses to strike foes. Just a more colorful and threatening Dodrio head. Keep in mind that paradox forms don't look as different from their modern iterations, so even though my concept seems simple, it'll look a bit different from Dodrio. I just think it's more fun that way. It'll have a big head and a thicker neck with a longer dinosaur-like body. Originally I gave it claws, but that'll be obsolete by the final design since I want it to still look like a bird and emphasize the fact that it uses its crest and legs to fight, not its claws. Gonna add these signature Gen 1 Dodrio eyes. Its tail feathers are pretty much the same as Dodrio's, and its head is featherless. Chat thought eyeshadow would make it look more fierce and primal. Its body is covered in spiky coarse feathers like Dodrio, giving it thick raptor legs. Proportionally, it looks shorter than Dodrio's legs, but it's the same, just girthier. Let's add some pads, cause this guy fights with its crest and legs. A darker brown, it'll basically be more saturated and colorful than a Dodrio. Blues like the cassowary and reds from Dodrio. A black beak ties it all together. Behold, Lone Terror. A single-headed Dodrio? A flying fighting type. This aggressive prehistoric dino bird Pokemon is believed to be the missing link between dinosaur and bird Pokemon, described in a book about ancient Pokemon. It resembles Primal Dodrio found in a speculative magazine. This powerful Pokemon is said to be the true appearance of Dodrio before human intervention mutated its DNA, splitting it in 3. It has the power of all 3 Dodrio heads in one deadly cranium. Its crest can bash diamonds, and it's extremely nimble and limber. It uses its legs to launch itself into the air. It flaps its primitive wings to guide itself back to the ground. It is said to contain the processing power of 3 Dodrio heads. It reacts in an instant. Its ability is photosynthesis, just like all the other ancient paradox forms. Its shine is a more quote-unquote natural-looking variation. Looking like a modern bird, I guess. It's a pretty-looking bird Pokemon. I wouldn't mind it being an actual evolution of Dodrio. It's the most different looking from the original design, but the concept is literally that it's just one-headed instead of 3. So it looks quite different even though the body is relatively similar. It could honestly prove some kind of connection between Galarian Zapdos and Dodrio too, if you think about it. Now it's Bibarel's turn. Why not make a futuristic Bibarel that is used as a construction worker? All paradox forms are based on some kind of speculative fiction or sci-fi trope, and the idea of a construction bot that works for the government is definitely prevalent. It'll be making steel dams using its sharp incisors, and most importantly, it'll have a chainsaw tail. Perhaps that face pattern it has will look more like goggles or visors or the safety glasses one would wear in a construction site. It'll look very serious since I like the contrast between its goofy modern form and a futuristic authoritative form. I'm going to begin by literally making a Bibarel face, but those ball-shaped fur tufts on its cheeks will actually be smooth metallic spheres. That pattern on its face will act as these futuristic sci-fi visors, and its buck teeth will be sharp as a blade. It'll be completely bipedal, and instead of a bib-like pattern on its chest, it'll have these glowing energy patterns that all future paradox forms have, but in the shape of a safety vest. It'll have its arms stretched out, and despite it actually being a dystopian robot, no, it's not hiling, it's simply telling you to halt. Like, literally, it speaks and only says, "Halt! Construction underway!" It'll have a chainsaw tail. The tools on this Pokemon's body are powered by electricity that is generated by the water that also flows throughout it. Like the dam that this Pokemon builds, I guess. Just refining it so it seems somewhat smooth, and then adding the colors. It'll have a slightly blue, glossy finish to allude to its water typing, with electric yellow energy. You can see how the visor is translucent. It was at this point that chat realized how cool it would be to have a crest on its head that makes it look like it's wearing a construction helmet. I thankfully obliged, and even took their advice to make the middle section of its stomach look like a utility belt. Watch out for Iron Saw. A droid made to build cities of the future? A water-electric type. It is eerily similar to a concept proposed by the Violet book. It tells of a future civilization that modeled their droids after the efficient Bibarel. Iron Saw has the ability to cut and construct structures made of steel. It is powered by electricity that has been generated using the flowing water containers within it. Its goggles protect it from debris, and its incisors can cut precisely. It is highly intelligent and able to make calculations, allowing it to measure the size of any object. It is able to communicate pre-learned human phrases. It is well versed in safety protocols and makes diligent effort to not harm others in the vicinity of its construction. The Violet book speculates that high-tech cities from the far-off future were developed using the power of Iron Saw. It has quark drive just like the other future forms. Its shiny is fully chrome just like the rest of them as well. I really like this guy. The idea of a competent, alert, and ultimately super powerful Bibarel is exciting. I would have loved if this existed. It's cute and cool. Now let's give some love to Min Chao. A past version wouldn't look half bad. Killer vines that entangle and trap victims are definitely a trope in the primordial jungles of sci-fi and even fantasy. So how about we make an ancient Min Chao with vines for hands, but instead of simply being a Min Chao with different arms, let's remix it a bit. I want to combine it with another trope in fiction, the escaped psychiatric patient. I want to try to incorporate the look of a straitjacket. This way its personality is also a bit different from the elegant and graceful Min Chao. This one will be more twisted and erratic. I'm starting with a Min Chao face. What else? The body is next followed by ribbon-like vine hands. It looks pretty sultry here, but that's when I realized that this girl's neck is long. The neck will get longer and longer as the design progresses. At this point, its inspiration is still a loose, straitjacket with the sleeves flowing around. Throughout the process, I try to make it look crazier and crazier. Trying to give it marks that look like running makeup is one of those attempts. Beady eyes as well. We experimented with leaf-like patterns on its head because I was insecure that it didn't look grass-type enough at this stage, but that was dumb since it'll look obviously like a grass-type without it once I finish the vines. Now it looks more sinister and wild, finishing up the body and giving it 2 stripes instead of 1 to make it look like the restraints on a straitjacket and perhaps an escaped convict. Time to add thorns and tendrils to the vine arms, a tail, and dangerous-looking patterns, but at this point it became over-designed and barely looked like a Min Chao. Sometimes you gotta learn to restrain yourself and dial it back, so I moved all the extra features, like its sinister mouth and extra stripes. Now it looks like a dancer. Its colors were originally gonna be muted, but it looked too much like Sceptile's color scheme. Now it has this natural and alluring color palette. Watch out for Twisted Vines, the scourge of primordial jungles? A fighting grass type. A menace described in an old expedition journal. Paranormal magazines publicized the supposed escape of this mad creature. Twisted Vines refers to both the physique and psyche of this ancient brute. It would capture prey with its thorny vines, but would finish them off in unpredictable ways. It can puncture its foes, squeeze the life out of them, or simply drag them along the jungle floor. Its erratic behavior has led biologists to abandon hope of understanding it. It moves with the grace of a dancer, seemingly relishing the hunt. Its shiny is a more poisonous-looking variant. I wish I could make it a dark type, but I had to keep it fighting type, along with adding the obvious grass type it possesses. I really like personality shifts in forms, megas, and now paradox forms. If this wasn't a paradox form, I would definitely reuse it as a regional form of Min Chao. I love Pokemon that look both pretty and dangerous. Time for another future paradox form. Carkol ain't a bad inspiration. I definitely want to take a lot less popular Pokemon and turn them into strong and cool paradox forms. Why not turn it into an actual car? A sentient automobile is as futuristic as it gets. If I was able to give it another ability other than Quark Drive, I'm sure Levitate would be helpful and allude to flying cars. It'll take inspiration from the sleek futuristic cars in films, as well as Knight Rider, the talking car from the 80s TV show, and most importantly, the DeLoreans, the model that Doc Brown used to create a time machine in Back to the Future. We're making a car. I'm literally drawing a car, and we'll add the Carkol face on it later. It's basically a Pixar's car. Lightning McQueen himself. Now I'm adding the goofy Carkol face, but admittedly, any face on any car looks goofy. The huge problem I had to solve was that Carkol is one of the least sleek Pokemon in existence. It has so many bumps and crevices, while this guy has to look uniform and smooth. So translating that into a car was a challenge. I gave it those concave wheels some future car designs seem to have. It'll make more sense once you notice the translucent rims. It'll have the kind of doors DeLoreans have, a flame decal, since it's a fire type, and some pipes. It's coming along at this point, but condensing it makes it look more like a living thing. I was gonna say creature, but who am I kidding? This is a car. Even Carkol doesn't look like a creature. The colors are exactly as you'd expect them to be, but it'll look way better fully shaded, so you'll what was that? But you'll understand how glossy it is once it's fully shaded. Check out Iron Drive, the sentient car of the future. a fire steel type. This advanced form of transportation is described in the Violet book, and an old book describes it as a strange object that came from the sky. The energy within Iron Drive combusts at such speed and power that it can cruise indefinitely. It is believed to be evolved charcoal that began using alternate fuel sources. The byproduct of its engine is clean and does not pollute the air. It'll transport humans without resistance. I think the chrome shiny for this one looks pretty nice. I definitely like this more than Carcoal, but of course I can understand people not forming an attachment to a car Pokemon. I know we just got a car Pokemon in Revavroom and the Starmobile, but this one ain't half bad either. And finally, I want to make a feral ancient Beware. It'll be the most similar to its descendant, because it makes sense that in the past, before Bewares were domesticated, their immense power was fully utilized. I want to make a larger, heavier, more top-heavy bear, something based on those buff, tiny-headed teddy bears. It's hard to say buff, tiny-headed teddy bears. I just said it there. Okay, never mind. And I'm definitely going to lean into the red panda origin, since it'll be redder and scruffier than modern Beware. So I'm drawing the upper body of a real bear with the details of a teddy bear, which means no claws, since the whole point is that it doesn't tear you to shreds, but literally crushes the life out of you with deadly hugs. I mean, you all know what a Beware is. It's literally just an angry Beware with wild fur. Like, imagine this Chad walking around Area Zero. From behind, it looks like a confident Beware, but then it charges at you. I gave it patterns below its eyes so it looks more like a red panda. Same reason for the color scheme. Chat's suggested stitches, so I went with it. Makes it look more unhinged and raggedy. Beware, Crushing Plush. The Wild Man Bear, a fighting dark type. A certain book describes this Pokemon as an uncivilized Beware. It resembles a supposed photograph printed in a tabloid magazine. The strength of Crushing Plush is unrivaled. Nobody is able to escape its clutches. Play dead if you ever chance upon Crushing Plush. It will rush towards any living being, and break every bone with a giant hug. It is believed that the mellow air of early Alola calmed these Pokemon down, slowly evolving them into modern Beware. Its shiny is clearly Shiny Beware's color scheme. It's something I've wanted to see for ages. I'm glad you guys helped me develop it on stream. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to know when the next art stream and video is out. Check the description for the music I used, the t-shirts I made for you guys, and my Patreon where you can get cool rewards like seeing my videos days early, which you can also do by clicking the join button and becoming a member. Make sure to follow me on Twitter where I show sneak peeks of these designs too. I'll see you guys very soon.